So let's get down to it. This morning, I think, is every reason for us to celebrate. I really do believe that. However, we need to talk about what happened in Uxbridge because ultimately, I think there will be a lot of breakdown and a lot of looking into what happened in Uxbridge. But we will see. We'll get onto the Uxbridge conversation in a bit. But first of all, let's discuss these victories. First of all, the Lib Dem win. This, to be honest, is an absolutely fantastic win, and this will put the fear of God in many a Tory. That is for sure, because as we always said, at the next general election, tactical voting has to play a major part in removing as many Tories as possible. And I've said this many times that we have, as progressives, a massive opportunity, not only just for the next parliament, but the one after. That is potentially almost 10 years of progressive things we can do and work on together, regardless of party affiliation, being in Labour or Lib Dem. And it is something that we can progress forward to. I really do believe that. But we can't do that. We cannot achieve that victory essentially if for example tactical voting does not set foot, if both parties, and certainly the message out there of voting tactically to defeat the Tories, because if you look at this, big picture wise, if we get the Tories down to 100 or less MPs, then they are just not a viable opposition. They can do nothing to stop progressive victory after progressive victory happening in the next parliament and even the one after that. So I implore everyone, even after these victories, because, like I say, both these victories that we won last night were fantastic, but they go to show you that, especially even in Uxbridge, tactical voting matters, and people must pay attention to tactical voting and drive that message home hard, even if Labour and the Lib Dems are not going to openly admit to a tactical voting pact, or that they're going to agree to a tactical vote. Well, the message still, I believe, has to be driven hard and through, because if it doesn't, then you're going to get what's happened in Uxbridge, where it certainly appears that, well, leftist infighting allowed the Tories to narrowly, and I mean narrowly, hold on to this victory and to that Uxbridge seat. But before we go into sort of breaking down the two victories you want, and then, of course, into the Uxbridge conversation, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And, of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Like I say, down below, there is a link to my Patreon page, the One Off Nation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. There is the Pony Club, of course, down below as well, and the YouTube thank you button as well. And, of course, you can help out the channel by just clicking the like and share buttons. So, first of all, let's discuss the positives last night. Labour won a historic, and I mean historic, victory. There was a 24-point election swing to Labour. If this happens in other constituencies, potentially at a general election, then a lot of Tories are losing their seats. A lot of Tories. And certainly those Tories in the Red Wall, those traditionally sort of safe Tory seats up there in the north that are still up there, because there are quite a few up in the north, they're not safe. So this morning, there will be a lot of panicking Tories worrying about their seat. And that is good, because, as we've said many times before, if the Tories are panicking, they do not make good decisions, they make bad decisions. And of course, they start infighting and they start, dividing even more. And as we said many, many times, people do not vote for divided parties. So that is, as we've said before, the ultimate victory here. That Labour won that seat. And of course, the Lib Dem victory that they won also shows that some of those blue wall seats, which, bear in mind, the Lib Dems are in second place in some of those seats, shows they can win. And that they can win those seats. That is massively, massively important. And that can, again, and should worry a lot of Tories. Just because they've managed to narrowly hold onto Uxbridge does not mean that Rishi Sunak can have a, shall we say, a good night's sleep tonight, as will many Tory MPs in going home to constituencies today will be very, very worried. Now, it wasn't a clean sweep, which what we wanted, but these two victories, and as I always said, I was focusing not on Uxbridge or Farnham. I was focusing on the Selby seat because that was going to be, I think, a far bigger bellwether test for the next general election than the other two seats, and that has come true. So we'll see what happens at a general election, but good things are coming. But on to tactical voting, because we have to, unfortunately, discuss what happened in Uxbridge. And of course, I think I found this on Twitter this morning, and I think this sums it up very, very, very cleanly what happened yesterday. That Labour lost, unfortunately, by 495 votes. That is very, very close. They narrowly managed to hold on to these seats. However, as we've said, tactical voting can play a massive part. And unfortunately, it seems that the ULEZ situation down there, which I talked to you about before, I talked about but to the pony clubbers in their video this week as well. I worried that might be a contentious issue that could lead some people to really change their votes and not support Labour. And unfortunately, this seems to have come true, because from what I can tell at the moment, it seems that the Green Party ran on an anti-ULEZ platform. And as a result, you can see they got 893 votes. Now, if the Green Party had committed to tactical voting, Labour would have won. If they had said, don't vote for us, vote Labour, we would have won. Now, Lib Dems also got 526 votes. You know, once again, this is where I worry that if people do not commit, I'm genuinely serious about this. If people do not commit to tactical voting because, Labour are just a different shade of Tories, or Starmer hasn't committed to, removing the two-child benefit cap, which I've said before, I'm disappointed. But if we win, as I said, think of this long picture. If we have completely and utterly destroyed the Tories to a point where they are so ineffectual as an opposition because they are constantly infighting with each other, and even coming up to a general election, they cannot make any form of recovery because they are so fractured and broken as a party. This gives us, as progressives and people who want progressive policies here in the UK, massive opportunities. So remember at this next general election that your vote really, really does matter. Because in seats like this, where Labour could have won, and we could have had a complete wipeout of the Tories in this by-election, and they could have lost all 3 seats, which would have sparked mass panic in the Tory party. Trust me, we would be seeing vastly different news headlines this morning if Rishi Sunak had lost all 3 seats. And we would see a panicked Tory party over the summer. But they narrowly managed to win this seat. As I said, many Tories will not be sleeping comfortably, but they can at least say, or at least come out and say this, how much of victory this is for their party. And it's good PR for them. But what you see here is you see well over 1,000 votes of progressive parties from the Green Party, from the Lib Dems, from even Rejoin EU, not backing Labour. And that would have had a far, far bigger impact. And I've said this before, unfortunately, whenever the right go to vote, they know they vote Conservative because they know that's what they need to win. And unfortunately, on the left, that's not the case. The left love to split. And we've seen that in this week. We've seen all the anti-Keir Starmer stuff come out this week. And I think if you were to ask those people who voted Green or even Lib Dem, I think that's what would have driven some of those people to vote for those parties and not Labour. I can't say that for sure or certain, but that seems like it. The ULEZ argument does seem to have really, really hurt Labour in this, as I sort of worried about. And again, the Green Party ran on an anti-ULEZ platform, and they seem to have attracted a lot of people who might have very well voted Labour to vote for them. And again, I want to make it crystal clear, the Green Party is very often a party who crows about how much they want to take part in, tactical voting and that this is a good idea. Yet here it seems there was not an indication that they want to take part in that way. Again, I think we'll probably need sort of a bigger breakdown in really what went on here, and why Labour lost here. But this, I think, here you can see was generally a failure for people to really realise that if they had voted Labour, you would have absolutely trashed the Tories. You would have absolutely trashed them this morning. They would be in absolute sheer panic mode. And I've said this, I don't know how many times before. The Labour are going to be infinitely better than the Tories, regardless of what you think of Keir Starmer, regardless of whatever you think of going on at the moment with the Labour Party. They are not the light version of the Tories. They are absolutely not that at all. And I said before, there is a massive progressive opportunity in this parliament and the next party if you absolutely deliver the Tories a complete and utter stomping. And this is what worries me at the next by-election, that Tories, unfortunately, manage to hang on in seats like this because, well, certain sections of the left just can't bring themselves to vote Labour because it would be infinitely better for their politics, for their policies, for what they believe in. But oh no, I'd rather vote Green because then it somehow you feel more pure. I'm sorry, that argument doesn't fly. It really doesn't. But this is what you're going to be seeing probably for the rest of the day. Many of these purists crowing about that. But we'll see. But as I said, tactical voting, ladies and gentlemen, it does work. But you have to commit. We have to get the word out. And it does seem that the local election, that had set in. But if tactical voting had come into play here, this would have been a Labour win and we would have had a complete clean sweep and the Tories would be in sheer panic mode this morning. And you have to ask yourself, what would you rather see? This that we've woken up to this morning, or a complete clean sweep where the Tories are in sheer panic mode. I know which I would rather see. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.